Hey guys, I know it's been a while. I just looked at my last video and I couldn't believe it was April last year. Where is the time gone? I have no excuse actually. I'm sorry. I'm going to do better this year because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, isn't there? Serious stuff, scary stuff. Kids, I didn't mention to you in my last video, we talked about my eyes. My eye's fine, by the way. I didn't get the surgery. Just in case you were wondering, the update to my April 9th, 2025 visit with the optometrist and ophthalmologist. My eye is fine. It's a little dry now and then, but I put some eye drops in there and I'm fine. And yeah, so I don't even know how to look at this camera. I hope I'm not, it's weird. Okay, hopefully I'm looking at you. I want to be looking at you, but I don't know where to look. I got to be the most talkative grandma in the whole world. Maybe God has put me in front of this YouTube for a reason. I like to gab. But I don't want to always talk about myself. But I was just going to say, what was I going to say again? Shoot. How could I lose that train of thought? I went off on a tangent with my eyes. Oh, okay. So a year later, a lot of things have changed, haven't they? A lot. In the news, political world, if you follow it. You're just kids. It doesn't matter to you. Enjoy your childhood. If you are a young person, enjoy it because it's over all too fast, let me tell you. Yeah. So I didn't tell you on my last video that I'm a grandma, of course. Grandma Debbie. That's the YouTube channel name. Yeah, I never grew up with grandparents in my life. And it's not something, that, well, I guess I did. How do you miss something you don't know you're missing, right? But I would be a little bit, I have to be honest, I'd be a little bit jealous of my friends who had grandparents alive, and they'd go over to their house and they'd get special treats and special treatment and, just the way grandma and grandpa are. They love to spoil their grandchildren, right? So I just want to tell you this story about myself because I know a lot of you out there lost your grandparents recently. COVID took a lot of your grandparents, and I'm very sorry about that. And now you are left hanging. And you maybe used to go over to your grandparents' house and spend time, and they used to, answer your questions and talk to you, and just like I'm talking to you right now, be really personable, sharing their own experiences, but then, you felt loved, right? You feel loved. You feel special. This is the way we all need to feel all the time, right? It's not wrong. It's not wrong to want to feel safe and loved and protected. And in this crazy world right now, you can feel very far from that. You can feel alone, scared, lost. Your grandparents aren't there anymore. That grieves me. So I didn't have blood grandparents, but I had an adoptive grandmother who was a Christian, and she was a lovely person. And she was actually my neighbor's real grandma. And her name was Ma Sloan. Ma Sloan. Sloan was their last name. Oh my goodness, that woman, she said, Debbie, I know you don't have a grandma alive and you don't have a grandpa, but I will be your grandma. And she adopted me. And I cried so hard when she died. And I just felt like I was being abandoned again. But in stepped Jesus. Just like that. My mom started going more regularly to that church that she belonged to. And next door neighbors invited us. And it was at that church, a Brethren church in Mississauga, Ontario, where my mom and I gave our hearts to the Lord. And we were baptized together at the same time. It was so special. It was so very special. And God rest my mom's soul. She's gone now. But my mom and I were like this. You know, we were for many years. When I was growing up, my mom was my whole world. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't have grandparents. But this lady, she said, yes, I'll be your grandma. And she was wonderful. I didn't get to know her really deeply, though, sadly. Just after church on Sundays, we would go to her house, and it always smelled so wonderful. She was always cooking, always making pies. Apple pies was her favorite, her specialty. Hot cross buns and fresh baked bread. Her house smelled amazing. It was a very simple little farmhouse on Mississauga Road, no longer there. Her husband built that house with his bare hands, all by himself. That's remarkable, right? And honestly, at some point, her children were worried about her because the house wasn't really built on a solid foundation. So they suggested that for her safety to go to this apartment, which was just she could walk to the church from there. And so she, you know, not that she really wanted to, but her kids were really pushing her for this. So she decided, okay, well then maybe I better, time to move on. For my safety, maybe they're really concerned about me. I want to maybe shut them up. Sometimes. Oh my goodness, it's a war. It's a battle sometimes in families, isn't it? To get your own way. And then you're just not winning that battle. So it's easier just to give in to it and say, okay. So anyhow, she didn't live much longer after that, but I always remember how sweet she was. So kids, here I am, and I promise, I really do promise, and I'm asking the Lord to help me with the strength and the wisdom to be here for you. I want you to drop me questions. You know, I had one young man say, I really miss my grandma. That spoke volumes to me. Because I know what it's like to not have a grandma in your life, right? It's different than having your parents. Sometimes the things that we would talk about that are bothering us with our parents, we can't. Somehow they just like, go away, Johnny, Susie, I don't have time right now. But your grandparents just seem to have more time for you. And they will sit with you and they will, you know, open the Bible, hopefully, and read with you and pray with you. And I want to be that grandma. I am a grandma, but my grandchildren, for whatever reason, they're very busy. I don't see them often enough as I'd like to. Honestly, I'd like to see them a lot more. But because of logistics as well, my granddaughters live in the States and I live in Canada. So it's kind of difficult, you know, to see them often. But the other ones are not that far away from me, but they're just so busy in their lives. Their parents are both have professional jobs. They're working hard, and I get it. I do. And I understand what my mom was saying now, that after my father passed away, that she had to move closer to her kids and her grandkids because she felt very lonely and removed from the whole family, being where my dad was, where he wanted to be. And I feel bad that there were a lot of lost years. And only my oldest two children remember my parents. And my youngest two, well, they didn't even really know them because my father passed away when my youngest son, who's now 25, he was only 2 when my dad passed away. And my mom, a little bit later than that. So he kind of remembers my mom a little more than my dad. And then he remembers, I think, somewhat of my husband's parents. So, I mean, to back up a little bit, I got like 2 families. I was married and I had 4 children, two girls, 2 boys. And then 13 years later, I remarried and I had 2 more boys with my second husband. And so I have kids ranging from, oh, I don't like to say that. That's going to, because now you're going to know how old I am. You're going to do the math. Yeah, my oldest is 49 this year. I think it's 49. 49. I can't believe this. This is not right. That's not right. Anyway, I believe I'm right because she was born in 1977. So you do the math. And then my youngest born in 2001. So he's 25. And I've got like, it's like I call my first family, my first batch and my second batch. I don't know. I'm just being silly. They all get along so great. They do. I'm really blessed because there's no fighting really amongst them, or they all get along. I don't know how I got so lucky. Maybe it isn't luck at all. I'm just blessed. The Lord just blessed me because I had a very difficult first marriage, you know. And I'm not going to go into that right now. That's a story for another day. But I just want you kids to know someone loves you more than anyone in this world. Someone loves you. His name is Jesus. And you may have heard his name before, or maybe you're hearing his name for the first time. I would say get to know Jesus better because he's waiting with his arms wide open. Not literally, but he wants you to bring all of your anxiety and problems and questions. Oh yeah, he loves questions. And he just wants to know you, know him. It's a two-way relationship thing going on. So, you know, just like I'm talking to you right now, you can talk to Jesus. Say, hey, Jesus, I hear you love me. Is that true, Jesus? I want to know you. Do you really love me? And wait, just wait quietly and see if in your subconscious, like in your thoughts, you get something that says, I am real and I love you so much. I love you so much that I died on the cross for you. Even if you were the only person in the whole world, I came to earth to die for you. And your name, I just learned this recently, it made me cry. Your name is written on his wounds where they pinned him up on that cross and they crucified him. And we're coming up to Easter, and it's a special time for Christians because we honor what Jesus did over 2,000 years ago. And so today I want to read something to you, and it's from a book that I bought years ago. Oh, it's backwards, sorry. It's called Strength for Today, and it was written by this really amazing pastor teacher from the United States. His name is Dr. David Jeremiah. He's like a grandpa. And he actually reminds me so much of my dad. It's uncanny. And I watch that man and I think, oh, Daddy, if you were just like this Dr. Jeremiah, what a close relationship we probably would have had. I don't know. I was just thinking that in my mind, but maybe not. We can be hopeful, right? But it never happened. My dad went through the World War II. He had that thing where they didn't have a name for it back then, that PSTD or I don't know how I'm saying that right. Post-traumatic, PTSD, isn't it? Post-traumatic stress syndrome. I don't know what. Anyway, he had it. And unfortunately, my father, the only way he knew how to deal with that stress and all of that, must have seen some horrible things. You know, so just to let you know, he was a Air Force pilot gunner. I used to think my dad, I was so proud of him. My dad flew a plane. I think he wanted to, but he didn't have the training. He was a gunner. Do you know what a gunner would do? I think you know by the word gun, especially if you come from the States. Imagine being in the plane and just shooting your gun down at civilians walking in Germany. My dad was the Royal Air Force, which is in England. And didn't really talk. I never really asked my dad why he was in the war, but I heard a lot of stories. My mom would tell me, how she'd be running home to safety to get to the bunker underground. And the Jerrys, he used to call them the Jerrys, the Germans in their planes would machine gun. And my mother, as she ran, that gunner in the German plane was tearing up the road beside her. And she said, at that point, I started running in the ditch because she said something told me to get low. So I got in the ditch and I just kept running. And it saved her life. Honestly, my mother was meant to be here for me to be born, and my sister and my brothers, oh my goodness, they almost didn't have parents. Because my sister and my brothers are older, a lot older than me, and they were born in England. So I know my dad was very shut down. And the way he dealt with his pain from the war is he used to drink. Every night he'd come home from work and he would just get into the liquor. Maybe, 2 or 3 drinks. I don't know. I wasn't counting. I was just a kid. But I knew that when my dad was like that, my mom will always say to me, don't bother your dad. We're not going to tell your dad about this. My mom. I didn't see it in my mom. She was a little bit of a poop disturber, to put it mildly. Especially with my older sister and brothers in their marriages and their kids and meddling, and gossiping. And I used to hear it all. And I thought to myself, when I grow up, I don't want to be anybody like that. I don't want to gossip about anybody. I don't want to talk about anybody behind their back. But then I found myself starting to do it. Sometimes you look at our parents and say, well, I don't want to be like that. And we end up being like them. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, it's not always your fault. The things that are happening to you right now, it's not your fault. And if you've been abandoned by your parents, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry. And I hope you get good Christian parents who will love you and surround you with the love of Jesus Christ, because that's really important. And like I said, you don't need parents to tell you that, but I'm telling you that he loves you more than you would ever understand or know. Okay? So let's just read something that I read today. And it's to do with strength. And it's in my book, and it's under today's date, March 3rd. And it says, from the book of Exodus, which is in the Old Testament, but the children of Israel had walked on dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. How scary that would be. You're walking on the bed of the ocean, the sea, and water walls are on both sides of you, because God parted the sea so that his children could walk through, because there was no other way. They had to get across the sea and they didn't have boats. So here's what Dr. David Jeremiah said. The Red Sea, that's the one God parted, at its maximum depth is over 9,000 feet. That's pretty deep. Its average depth is about 1,600 feet. Scholars believe the area of the Israelites' march was 300 feet deep and 9 miles long. The escape was made during the night. That's something I'd never thought about before. I thought it was during the daytime that they escaped. Maybe that's when they started out on foot. I'm not sure. So perhaps you can imagine walking down a city street. I think we can imagine that today, with skyscrapers rising up on every side. Now in your mind, convert those skyscrapers into quivering walls of congealed water. Whoa! Though it was during the darkest hours, the Lord's presence lit up the route like giant floodlights. He was making a way for his children. Hymnist Isaac Watts compared life to a march, saying, "We're marching to Zion. Beautiful, beautiful Zion. Along the way, we confront challenges and problems, but God always makes a way for his children. I can attest to that. I have many stories. Yep, God is good. He can part the waters. He can turn curses to blessings, answer prayers, and lead us wisely. He knows the way through the wilderness and through the waters. Whatever you're going through, God will make a way as you simply trust and obey him. So just a little thing here about obeying. I was being very disobedient. Lord kept urging me to come back on here and talk to you guys. And I kept delaying and saying, no, not now. And I go, I'm busy. I got this to do, that to do. You know how we can fill up our days with nonsense, honestly. TV, social media, kids, grandkids, husbands, friends, your child. You've got, friends that you play with, games maybe you play on your phone. Hopefully you get outside to play, fresh air, sunshine, get outside and play. It's good for you. Put that phone down and or that tablet or whatever it is you have. But I'll just say, in obeying God, the blessings will flow into your life. If you hear the Lord talking to you, say if you already know Jesus and you hear him saying things to you, don't brush them off. Listen to the Holy Spirit and his prompting and get the job done. Okay, guys? Okay. So I hope you have strength for today. The Lord, I prayed for this and he told me what to say today. So he's been directing this message, not me. I'm just saying whatever he's downloading into my brain to say. And it's the truth. It's my story. A lot of it's going to be my story. But I'm just going to be willing to share it. Does that sound good? Okay, guys. I love you guys. I don't know you personally, but I know Jesus loves you. Because I love Jesus, I love you too. God bless.